to the south, and the wind's the big issue right now.
Yes, in the overnight hours, early morning, right around 4 or 5 o'clock, they were hitting 85, 90 miles per hour. So those winds still blowing quite strong. Haven't seen them that strong since then, which is some good news. Here are some of the latest observations we're noting over areas of Mount St. Helena, 75 miles per hour. Hawkeye reporting 69, Atlas Peak reporting 36. In addition to that, the relative humidity is down to about 14% in some areas, maybe even a little bit less than that. So it is dry out there, and that northeast wind is blowing all that smoke and that fire danger towards areas like Windsor and Santa Rosa and Sebastopol, Rohnert Park area. So again, many of these communities under a mandatory evacuation, and it's easy to see why. Here's a look at Middle Peak, where we have relative humidity at 22% and that north wind at about 20. Definitely seen some of those stronger winds as anticipated. Right now, Black Diamond over Mount Diablo reporting wind gusts to 29, Oakland South, I should say, 30 miles per hour, and over areas of Contra Costa County where we have Oakley, I think with a small fire, also seeing some breezy conditions. Here are some of the stronger gusts that we saw earlier this morning that we talked about. Hillsburg Hills, 93 miles per hour. We had Hawkeye report 76, Mount St. Helena at one point 87, and right along the North Bay Valley floor in Santa Rosa, Petaluma reporting some very strong winds, Petaluma to 53. As we get through the second part of the morning, notice that we do see those winds begin to die down. The red flag warning, the high wind warning, not going to go away, though. We are going to remain with these winds in place throughout the entire day. That northeast breeze, on a positive note, is expected to kick out some of that smoke. So at this hour, we do have air quality. It looks like unhealthy for our sensitive groups. If you're in the North Bay, it's going to be just plain unhealthy. But we've got smoke all reported over areas of the Bay into San Francisco and areas of the Central Bay. That is hopefully going to change as we get into the afternoon. We may see some improving air quality as that northeast wind kicks out that smoke towards the Pacific Ocean. But the red flood warning is going to remain in place until tomorrow morning, not only for our hills, but for our North Bay as well as our valley locations and for the coastline. Claudine, Frank.
Thanks, Rosemary. So we're following the Kincaid fire. We also have a fire burning in Oakley, and now we have a new fire in Clayton with evacuations being ordered right there. This is Leon Court, Leon Drive, Leon Way. The Contra Costa County Fire saying residents should leave immediately. They said there are several fires burning in East County, so it says if you are in danger, regardless of location, do not wait. Evacuate. Fire danger is high. There's a robocall that says if people are trying to leave, they should go via Marsh Creek Road. So this is important to note. We've got an Oakley fire. We've got a Clayton fire. We've got a Fox 2, our chopper, Skyfox heading over to that area. They'll stop at Clayton first and stop at Oakley. So we should have pictures coming from both those fires very soon. But this is the concern that we had, that fire wouldn't just be with the Kincaid fire, would be fire danger throughout the Bay Area. And that is certainly what we are seeing this morning.
Okay, we're going to take you back up, I believe, to Healdsburg, where KTVU Sarah Zenadam is joining us. We finally got some daylight there. Sarah, what are you seeing? And air quality, obviously, not very good there right now, I would imagine.
Yeah, not good at all. Of course, as the winds pick up, it really pushes the smoke and makes everything harder for all of the fire crews out here. Now, this is something that I never want to show, but unfortunately, this is the reality of this fire. This home completely taken down by the fire. Now, we are on Chalk Hill Road, and it's crazy the way this fire, the behavior of these kinds of fires. This house has been completely taken down. Their neighbor right over there, their house is totally fine and standing. But this entire property, we can walk through and kind of take a look at just all of this mess over here. A lot of cars on this property that have been completely destroyed by this fire. Now, there are a couple of houses over here, like you just saw, that are still standing, and there are a lot of fire crews still out here. Just down the way here, down the road, you can see a fire crew from Palo Alto Fire. Joseph, be careful of this power line right here. Palo Alto Fire down there. They're kind of going through and making sure the flames are out, kind of making sure the hot spots don't flare up. you know, the issue that these firefighters are dealing with, of course, there's a lot of wind, there's a lot of embers, but they're tired. We spoke to a CAL FIRE captain earlier this morning, and he told us that a lot of them are really dealing with that fatigue. Now, they've been on the clock for hours and hours and hours. They were really hoping that, you know, they could be off and get a break, but with the way that this fire has been going the last few hours, they don't think they're going to get a break anytime soon. And it's for reasons like this. Let's turn around right over here, and you can see this black plume of smoke. We don't know exactly where that's coming from or what it's burning, but clearly it is burning something given how dark that smoke is right there. This is really just one of many, many spots throughout Sonoma County that's been dealing with this. And like I mentioned, we did hear from CAL FIRE, so here's exactly what they were doing here in the Chalk Hill area.
The fire front's already gone through, and now's the time when we normally will lose homes because we've gotten a little complacent and we thought the fire's already gone through, and you're finding wood piles burning too close to our home. And this is the time where we're trying to put those small fires out before we start losing structures again.
So CAL FIRE did make an announcement, an update on the acreage of this fire. It's 30,000 acres, just 10% contained. So it did grow about 5,000 acres overnight because of that wind. And if we can come back out here live, you can see there are fire crews with their hoses out right now. Like I said, just putting out those hot spots, making sure that there is nothing on fire here still, because as you just heard that soundbite, CAL FIRE says that sometimes they do become complacent. They think the fire has rolled through and, you know, the threat is gone, but of course the threat is never gone, especially with winds like this picking up those embers. There could be fires inside of these trees that just aren't visible, and the winds really haven't died down. It's like we get this little calm, and then, you know, a few minutes later the winds really do pick up. But in this area, you guys saw us about an hour ago, there were flames everywhere, so things have really calmed down here right now. But that black plume of smoke right over there, that is pretty alarming. So right after this live shot, we're actually going to head in that direction and see exactly what's going on over there.
Sarah, I'm curious, are there any homeowners up there at all, or everyone's evacuated? You're just seeing fire personnel, that's it?
Yeah, we've just been driving up and down Chalk Hill Road, and we've only seen fire personnel, which is a good thing because that means that there is, you know, all the residents actually listened to those evacuation warnings. We know the Sonoma County Sheriff was really concerned yesterday during one of the news conferences. He said that he heard that people wanted to stay at their homes and fight the fire themselves, but do not do that. If you are told to evacuate, you have to do exactly that. And the people at these homes, we haven't seen anyone, so that is definitely a good thing and good news for a lot of these people. They're going to be coming back to homes. Unfortunately, right down the road here, just off of Chalk Hill Road, that home completely taken down by the Kincaid fire.
It is just tragic, but yes, you can see how devastating that fire can be and how quickly it can burn. Sarah, I know you're headed to that next location. We'll check in with you in a little bit. Thank you so much for that report, and stay safe out there. All right, let's take a look at the evacuation map because this is important. This is where so many people have been told to get out for their own safety. 180,000 people at last count have been told to leave, and overnight in Santa Rosa, 60,000 people alone were told to get out for their safety. They've got this map divided up into zones. The red part is the Kincaid fire that is actively burning. That purplish part is where people have been told they need to leave. There are zones numbered, and 1 through 10 they've been told to get out. The area, as it kind of grew, was right around the fire. Then it moved a little bit south and then all the way west last night and then south this morning. Highway 101 goes straight through that area, and a 30-mile stretch of that was shut down.
And Highway 1 as well. You're all the way out to Jenner there. It is an incredible amount of square miles that have been evacuated, and for good reason. After we saw that live shot with Sarah, the spot fires start. A wind whips up, and before you know it, you got another fire a half mile down. That gets established. Another wind comes up. It just keeps leapfrogging and leapfrogging. And with gusts up to 60, 70, 80 miles per hour still due today, it's
We've got a long day ahead.
Yeah.
And you're talking about huge cities. I mean, the Sonoma County Sheriff's Department saying this is the biggest evacuation any of us can remember. You're talking about the cities of Guerneville, Sebastopol, Windsor, Jenner, Forestville, Occidental, Santa Rosa's Fountain Grove and Coffee Park. All of those people, Healdsburg, saying get out. And so those are essentially, we hope, ghost towns right now, except for emergency personnel, because emergency personnel will be moving their way in. We also have evacuation warnings in the Cobb Mountain area of Lake County, so people there are being told When it's a warning, you get all your stuff ready. When it's an order, you go ahead and get out. Now, we just saw Sarah Zendenom, but Alyssa Harrington is also up there in the North Bay where devastation. I mean, we're looking behind you, Alyssa. And
Soda Rock Winery, no more. Incredible. It's been there for, what, 150 years?
That's right, 150 years, so absolutely devastating to see this morning. Really the only Soda Rock still there, but if you look through the front entryway, you can see those huge piles of smoldering debris. The ceiling collapsed. Pretty much everything inside either on fire or already scorched. Also behind me, there's another structure. You can see part of a fireplace, the stairwell, that also burned to the ground. We're seeing fruit trees that are singed. We're seeing artwork that has been burned. Definitely devastating because, as we mentioned, this has been here for a long time, since 1869. The owners, the current owners, have been in charge since 2000, and they just went through a major renovation project. So this is certainly a very popular winery, a very recognizable winery. That rock wall you can see over there. Also, there's a sculpture of a boar. That's something that's really a landmark of this place. So those still standing, but everything else pretty much burned. Now, I want to show you some video from a little bit earlier this morning when it was really going. Now, one big issue that, of course, we've been talking about are these winds, and it's these winds that have been pushing around the embers, pushing around the flames, and the reason why this fire has been able to spread so quickly. Now, we are here in Healdsburg. The entire town was evacuated yesterday. That is how serious this fire is. So as we were driving through the area, it's very quiet except for a lot of emergency personnel. We're seeing firefighters lined up and down the street. They're putting out spot fires. They are staging in case new fires flare up. They're looking for hot spots. They really want to make sure that when they put a fire out, they know it is entirely out so that they don't have any sort of reignition. I also want to show you a little bit more video that we took only about a mile down the road, but we're looking into the distance. We're looking at this large hill that was glowing. We were seeing large flames, the fire moving over that hill. It was quite a sight, and that was taken maybe about 2 hours ago. Now, I want to talk to you about what we've experienced this morning. I can tell you within probably the last 20 minutes, the winds have appeared to pick up. They have been extremely strong. These wind gusts almost, knocking you over. They are extremely strong, these howling winds. When we left this morning, we really saw a lot of traffic coming away from the fire on Highway 101 in the Petaluma area. That's when we started seeing a lot of evacuees when it was still dark. A lot of them had campers, had trailers. They were all trying to get out of their neighborhoods because throughout the night, different communities were getting these evacuation alerts on their phones. And I can tell you, once we crossed into Sonoma County, I was getting those alerts on my phone as well. They were in English and in Spanish, and they would tell exactly which neighborhoods had to be evacuated. Now, another thing that emergency responders were able to do this year is they gave people a lot of warning if they could. That they let certain communities know that they needed to get ready for an evacuation. Get your medication, get your pets, get all your belongings ready to go, and then if you get that call that you need to evacuate, you get out immediately. That's been really helpful for first responders and for firefighters to be able to get into these neighborhoods when people can get out that much quicker. So that's one good thing about what's happened this time around. But of course, we're still going to be dealing with these winds for quite a while. They've certainly picked up just in the past few minutes here. And that's one thing that we'll be looking at as well. I can tell you there are spot fires burning around us. I'm seeing flames, just across the road. There's still a lot of smoke in the air, but like these fires do, we're seeing this winery that's been here for 150 years that unfortunately got taken by this fire. But if you look right next door, there's homes still standing. So it's been really interesting driving around and seeing what this fire has been doing. We drove up Chalk Hill Road, which is where Sarah is this morning, and there were fires burning right along the road. I mean, just inches away from where we were driving. Certainly some scary moments as well, but a lot of firefighters out there working really hard to get this thing under control. Reporting live in Healdsburg, Alyssa Harrington, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
All right, Alyssa, stay safe, and thank you for that live report. Unbelievable. Winery there for 150 years. They just did a 10-year renovation, just completed this year, and lo and behold, the winds come in and
And you can see across the street things are fine, and that's how this fire behaves.
Exactly.
All right, our coverage of the Kincaid fire as well as the other fires burning around the Bay Area and our power safety shut off with a lot of people in the dark this morning. Our full coverage continues right after this break.
Niners Cardinals Thursday at 4:30 on KTVU Fox 2.
Room for my best friends. Ready, Mojo? Safety.
Security.
Parkability. Good gas mileage. Road trip.
Keeps me young.
Headroom.
Whatever reason you have for wanting an SUV, with 4 to choose from, Chevy has the perfect SUV for you. Get over $4,200 below MSRP on this 2020 Equinox. Find new roads at your local Chevy dealer.
At Living Spaces, we know Thanksgiving gatherings come in all shapes and sizes. Whether you're celebrating as a couple or preparing for a crowd, we'll help you create a special place for the people you love. We have pieces that allow you to make room for everyone. And with our same-day delivery, you'll have everything you need in time for Thanksgiving. That way, you can focus on what's really important.
Living Spaces.
Pretty fun, huh?
Love Heights.
Selfie?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
What?
Think I forgot to lock my Buick. Got it.
At least your Buick's locked.
Uh-huh.
At the heart of every Buick Encore is you. Current eligible lessees get this low-mileage lease on this 2019 Encore for around $199 per month.
See your Bay Area Buick GMC dealer.
It's game day live here at Bill and Julie's house, a fan favorite venue ever since they got gig speed internet. Xfinity gives them the ultimate home field advantage. It's their 12th man.
Hey, Amy, you want to grab a seat?
Julie, we're live. It's game on with gig speed internet from Xfinity. Start him, sit him, trade him. Simple, easy, awesome. Check out gig speed internet or any of our other amazing speed options. Get started now for as low as $29.99 a month for 12 months. Click, call, or visit a store today.
So that early retirement we planned, it's going okay?
Great. Now I'm spending more time with the kids. I'm introducing them to crab.
Crab?
They love it.
So you mentioned that money we set aside.
Yeah, the kids and I want to build our own crab shack.
Ah, you're finally building an outdoor kitchen.
Yep, with room for the whole gang.
See how investing with a JP Morgan advisor can help you. Visit your local Chase branch.
Okay.
All right, welcome back. We have breaking news. This is the Leon fire that's burning in Clayton this morning. We've been spending a lot of time on the Kincaid fire, but we've had these other spot fires burning in different parts of the Bay Area, and those are prompting evacuations. And so in Clayton, we do have this fire that is currently burning. They have asked people to get out of that area and get to safety. And so this is, we're not sure how this fire started, but you can see the emergency vehicles that are kind of positioned over in that area and the smoke coming out from a different part of your screen. Clayton is an area where it's right up tucked against, you know,
it's on the eastern slope of Mount Diablo and just kind of tucked in there near Marsh Creek Road. And we did a zip trip there, as you know, and it's a tinderbox, just like much of the Bay Area there. And Mount Diablo burned probably about 6-7 years ago on that eastern side. So this is a very tender area, and hopefully they can get a handle on that. It looks like they do have apparatus there, and we've got Skyfox over keeping an eye on it.
They sent a robocall out from the Sheriff's Department, so some folks out there did get a call saying there are immediate evacuations of Leon Drive, Leon Court, and Leon Way in Clayton because of that fire. They were asking residents to leave via Marsh Creek Road. And as you can see, that's a hillside that looks like access in and out of there may be a little bit difficult. So they want to get those folks out of there as quickly as possible. There's also a fire that started burning at 5 o'clock this morning in Oakley, and that fire also required evacuations in the Summer Lakes neighborhood. They were asking people to get out of that area immediately as well. And as you can see, the smoke and where it's drifting, it is moving, and we still have this wind event that is going to be a problem for us all day long. It's been a problem overnight. You can actually see a home there on the top of that hillside over there. So it's unclear right now how close we are to the flames. We know, and there we go, as Sky Fox zooms into that home there on that hillside, how close this fire is burning to homes, but we know how quickly it can move. 93-mile-an-hour winds that have been talked about at the very tops of the hills, 80s, 70s, as we see a fire truck making its way there, and we think it was probably to do some fire protection.
Well, I think it's important to note all eyes have been on the North Bay and of course the Kincaid fired up there, but these winds are all over the place right now, all over Northern California. You get outside the Delta area where Oakley is, and those winds whip like no tomorrow. And obviously right here on the eastern side of Mount Diablo and Clayton, and that looks like a pretty good size plume right now, and you can see it's moving rather quickly as well. So the winds atop Mount Diablo. We do have Rosemary here. I mean, that's almost 4,000 feet, so I imagine they're whipping pretty well.
Yeah, and right over the Oakland Hills as well as Mount Diablo area, winds were gusting 40 to 60 miles per hour earlier this morning. They have let up just a little bit right in the Clayton area along the floor there, the valley area. We've got winds gusting to 25, perhaps 30. So definitely breezy, definitely enough to fan the flames here and get this thing going. But as you have already said, it's the North Bay where we really have seen those winds picking up to 85, even 90 miles per hour this morning.
And in Santa Rosa, when we talked to the fire department there, they are reporting they have down transformers, down lines. They have a lot of issues that they're dealing with, not just with the Kincaid fire, but that everything that this wind has brought. So this continues to be a developing situation with 180,000 people evacuated in Sonoma County. The evacuations are not over. We have some centers at capacity. This continues to develop this morning. We continue to follow it for you here, and our full coverage of all the fires burning in the Bay Area continues when we come back.
Most people like to know how fast their car goes from 0 to 60. But wouldn't you prefer to know how fast it goes from 60 to 0? The 2019 Volkswagen Tiguan with 6 stability-enhancing features that can help you slow down in an emergency. Come in now to your Volkswagen dealer and lease a sophisticated and capable 2019 Tiguan S for just $199 a month.
Tough Shed takes outdoor living to a whole new level, from storage and organization to entertaining. Get the backyard you've dreamed of all summer with a new shed, garage, or studio, delivered and installed on site. From small storage solutions to extra-large buildings, Tough Shed has what you need. And with our easy-to-use design tool, you can create the building you want from the inside out. So enjoy the fall season and let Tough Shed do the hard work for you. Dream, design, build at toughshed.com.
Pretty fun, huh?
Love heights.
Selfie?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
What?
I think I forgot to lock my Buick. Got it.
At least your Buick's locked.
Uh-huh.
At the heart of every Buick Encore is you. Current eligible lessees get this low mileage lease on this 2019 Encore for around $199 per month.
See your Bay Area Buick GMC dealer.
So you have a car, but you don't drive much. You are the walk everywhereers. The only hit the road on the weekenders. All you drive 43 minutes but only go 4.3 milers. Empty nesters who hardly ever drive anymores. The try to drive as little as possiblers. And of course you only have a car to survive the zombie apocalypsers. You should be on Metro Mile. It's pay per mile car insurance for people like you. Why pay a lot if you don't drive a lot?
The NFL on Fox. Panthers.
Makes the play.
49ers.
Touchdown. It's today at 1 on KTVU Fox 2.
We have team coverage of the Kincaid fire.
Can't stress how serious this wind event will be.
We got a lot of work to do, and we have to work together.
This arrest was from good old-fashioned police work.
That I don't believe an assault rifle should be in the hands of anybody but military or law enforcement.
KTVU and the power of 2 is always working for you.
And welcome back to Mornings on 2. We continue to cover the fire, the Kincaid fire, of course, up in the North Bay, but we've got a situation. This is the Clayton fire, also known as
the Leon fire.
The Leon fire.
They've got 20 acres there that they're trying to deal with. They've got people trying to evacuate from the area in and around that. You can see they've got the bulldozers out, and they have, looks like, a good handle on this fire burning. But this robocall went out to the residents there saying you need to get out of your homes immediately, get out of Marsh Creek Road. This was like Leon Court, Leon Drive. So not a huge area, but when you take a look at the path of where that fire can go, and you've got that road there, which I assume was a sort of a fire break, but it's on both sides of that road. So when you're trying to get people out and trying to get them to safety, you want to make sure that you have the ways out to safety that you can ensure. And so this robocall went out immediately just within the last couple of hours saying you need to get out and you need to get to safety. And so we know they're working on that. We don't see any active flames, but that is a home at the top of your screen there, up on top of that ridge. And so I know that we saw the firefighters making their way up to the top of that ridge to make sure that they could do what they can to save property, and hopefully the people who were living in that home have gotten out to safety.
And keep in mind, some of these people might not even have power because of the power outages. That is a very tender area there on the eastern side of Mount Diablo. Let's bring in Mark Naveau. He's the former FEMA incident commander and a former Fremont Fire Battalion chief, to kind of put this all into perspective. These winds, at least we got a little bit of notice this time, but it's been a pretty incredible 24 hours.
Hasn't it been? The evacuations, we were talking earlier at break. You know, we heard Jonathan Cox this morning talking about how far they evacuated people, and they wanted to be aggressive because of the winds. Well, you're talking about from the fire line out to the ocean, almost a 20-mile distance that they've evacuated. And when you start to evacuate communities, that is not an easy or a light decision, because the incident commanders, and it's a unified decision between police officers, Santa Rosa officials, and they're having discussions about that. They're taking a look at the modeling of fire behavior, the winds, the weather, all of that. But when you say we're going to evacuate a community, that incident commander, in essence, owns that community now.
And you felt that. I mean, the 10 o'clock press conference that CAL FIRE held yesterday was the first time that they really indicated how massive this evacuation would be. That's when they said, all right, Healdsburg, entire city, you've got to go. Windsor, you've got to go. Geyserville, you've got to go. And then overnight, they spread that to Santa Rosa, which was 60,000 people alone. Sonoma County Sheriff's Department tweeted this morning, they're like, this is the largest evacuation anyone in this department can remember. So you've got to think about the people who are making the decisions. They're in unprecedented territory. They're not saying, oh, well, we did this before here, so let's pull out those plans and that map of what we did. They're making decisions, in large part, it seems, based on 2017, saying, what did we learn, and let's not walk down that road again.
Not only 2017, but years of experience. So they're using modeling, scientific modeling. They're taking information from the field troops out on the fire line, and they're going to make a decision about what we think in terms of evacuation. How aggressive do we have to be to make sure we keep people safe? But when you do that, you have to recognize that if that area becomes burned, then the recovery of that period, those businesses and those homes are going to be months. If it is not burned and you have to repopulate, you still have to provide security for that area. Right. So it's not an easy decision to say, let's move people out because we want to save their lives. We also have the consequential situation of how we deal with that once they leave.
Can we talk about fatigue? Because we had Jonathan Cox from CAL FIRE. Claudine said, asked him, when was the last time he got some rest? He said, I've been up for 2 straight days. Yeah. It's hard to give this up once you're in, right?
Well, and that holds true for everybody. Not only the firefighters on the line, you know, they're working 24 hours at a time. But when you're in the executive level making decisions like that, there's physical labor that the firefighters, the hand crews, the dozer operators, the pilots are doing. But those folks working in a command center are making, you know, life and death decisions, the economic impact for communities. It's not a light decision. So they've got it set up so they can have like a deputy. They've got an IC, a deputy. Jonathan's got a deputy. They can rotate people in and out. But because of the activity and the amount of activity, you're probably getting minimal sleep because you can turn it over for a period of time, but you've got to be right back up because there's so much going on.
And you're vested in that. You know, you've got all these people who you're trying to get out to safety. They called it aggressive. They said, we know, look, this is aggressive. We're making sure we take no chances. That's why this swath is so big. And you take a look at that evacuation map, and it's huge.
Yes.
When you're looking from your perspective and your experience with FEMA and how this is all going down kind of historically in that that area. Can you be too aggressive? I mean, you put people out for a couple days, they come back to their houses, they're, you know, no harm, no foul, they're happy their house is there. You leave them in, you're not as aggressive. There's a lot at stake.
Yeah, and where is that line? You know, you don't know. And what we're hearing, that the winds were so severe that you're really not fighting this fire. You're talking about targets of opportunity. So you're trying to get into an area that you might be able to put a line in or something like that. But the rest of the area, it's just driven by the wind, and you're reacting to that. You're trying to get people downrange and protect exposure. Spot fires are half a mile to a mile out. So you're talking about an awful lot of workload taking place.
Okay, Mark, we're going to pause this conversation because we're going to go right out to Sarah Zendenam, who is right in the thick of all of this, and talk about what she's seeing out there with the fire and the changing conditions. Sarah?
Good morning. So we were making our way up and down Chalk Hill Road. The last time I saw you guys, I was talking about a big plume of black smoke. We believe this is what it was. Now, I'm not exactly sure what this is. I don't know if it's an outhouse, if it's a home. Honestly, it's so destroyed right now that it's kind of hard to tell exactly what it is, but it is completely engulfed in flames, as you can see right now. You can't see the firefighters right here, but there are fire crews up here at this hour. They do have their hoses out, but this is a loss. I mean, there really isn't much you can do for this structure right here other than just make sure it doesn't keep spreading. And this is obviously a dangerous area right here. I mean, there are tree limbs that are still falling, and we are being very, very careful out here, but it is very obvious how intense the Kincaid fire is and continues to be. Now, we saw this plume of smoke from about a mile away. We made our way up here, and we didn't realize the extent of how much had been taken down by this fire up here until we're looking at it right now. So just up the road is also Hannah Winery. We saw another big plume of black smoke up there as well. We didn't see the actual winery structure on fire, but there was something somewhere in the vineyard that we saw a big black plume of smoke there. So firefighters are out here. They have this controlled. You guys can take a look. It is hot. You can feel it out here. Ash is just falling from the sky, and this structure, a complete loss here on Chalk Hill Road. Really a devastating sight to see. I hate reporting this type of thing, but this is just the nature of this beast, and it doesn't seem to be letting up anytime soon. Every time I think the winds have calmed down, it picks up. It has picked up right now, and ash is literally just floating in the air right now. You may be able to see it. There are just like pieces of ash just everywhere right now, guys. A really intense situation here on Chalk Hill Road.
Stay right there. If you can pan off and show us some of the burn as well, Joseph. And Mark, let's bring you in. How long has this been burning? And talk about the winds and the potential for the winds to kick up and send this fire somewhere else.
Yeah, I think this shot is fantastic in the sense you can see the embers becoming airborne. And when we talk about spot fires, what we're talking about is those embers traveling a half to a mile away from that location and landing somewhere else, usually downwind, starting additional fires. What we heard this morning was one of the Sonoma County supervisors talk about whack-a-mole. And that's not to make light of this, but the game of where you're chasing spot fires. You're putting one out in one location, another. This particular fire has been burning for hours, but they've got resources that they're trying to put in different locations, and they're doing structured triage. They're trying to make a determination which structures they can save and which ones they cannot.
Yeah, on any other day, you would see this structure surrounded by fire engines, water pouring on this. And Sarah, you mentioned that there were fire trucks in the area. We haven't seen them yet in this shot. How far away are they, and how many firefighters are actually on this scene?
We'll walk you down and show you. It's really not too far. Joseph and I kind of made our way down this road. Now be careful here. We just kind of made our way down this road so you guys at home could get a better view of exactly what we're dealing with here. But there were fire trucks and engines and fire crews out here right in the front of this building here. Now there is still one building that appears to be standing. Like I said, I don't know if this was someone's home, if it was an outbuilding, what it was, but honestly there's really nothing that you can do about it. The flames have completely taken it over. So these fire crews here, they're with the Governor's Office of Emergency Services out here, just keeping their eye on it right now as it continues to burn at this hour.
So, okay, thanks, Sarah. And Mark, so, I mean, with Santa Rosa, when it happened in 2017, they're like, we don't have enough water to go kind of around, and we want to save it for the times that we really need it. Or, you know, they were on a hill, and the water pressure, we saw those issues. What's happening now in terms of this approach?
What they've done is, it looks like, you know, there's areas that the other buildings are lost. So they've made that decision that they're going to try and save whatever that outbuilding is. Now, whether they arrive before the fire or after, they're trying to save what they can. And that decision is being made numerous times all across this fire line, both inside and outside. In addition, you've got fire engines patrolling neighborhoods downwind of this fire, trying to make sure those embers do not land on the rooftops of wood-shake roofs and start burning homes. So they're thinking about not only trying to put containment lines in, they've got aerial ops that started at 8 o'clock this morning. So there's a multitude of things going on here. Not only the evacuations, but also all of the things that have to take place when you evacuate.
What do you do if you come across this, but you've got some homes downwind a little bit? Are you putting water on this, or are you going to go take care of what you can down?
The individual that's making decisions is called a branch or an ops chief. They're working in what they call a division, which is a geographical area. And within that geographical area, he or she is directing those crews to make decisions about where best to place resources. And so they're having to make very difficult decisions at times where this may be savable, this property may not be savable. So we're going to move to the property that we can save because there's enough clearance. So this is a difficult time, not only from a physical labor standpoint for firefighters, but also a mental standpoint.
And we have some new information coming in about another fire. This one on 101, just north of Sierra Point Parkway near Candlestick Point. We can see if we can pull up that camera, and you can see the traffic slowing down and that smoke moving its way across the freeway. You know, and we're seeing this all morning long. Spot fires everywhere. We're trying to focus our attention on the places where it's burning the hottest just because the most people are affected. 180,000 people affected by the Kincaid fire. That does not take away from the fact that people at Oakley are evacuating their homes. People in Clayton are evacuating their homes. And now here in South City, we've got another fire burning, and this is our camera near Highway 101 near Candlestick. Hard to say what's going on.
Well,
here.
you can see the southbound lanes are open, but they're going very, very slowly as they go through that smoke. Northbound has been shut down, Mark, and this is affecting a very big area now.
Well, and we look at that, and not only here on 101 in Candlestick, but 101 up in the Santa Rosa area was closed down for a period of time.
So it still is.
30 miles of that,
all the way up to Cloverdale.
I mean, the impacts here are just unbelievable. Also, what we're going to have to deal with is the power restoration. And typically when we talk about fires, we can shut power down into a small geographical area, which is probably more preventative than anything else. But when we're talking about a power outage that is throughout the San Francisco, we know from the Paradise Fire, one of the transmission lines was put out of service. There's a separate transmission line that is also involved in this fire. So with the Paradise Fire and a transmission line, the best way I can describe it is like a transmission line is like a fire hose carrying electricity, where a distribution line is like a garden hose. When the transmission lines are shut down like we have in one particular location, those other lines have to pick up the load. So when we start to re-energize these areas, the question becomes, can we do that safely and efficiently? So these incident commanders are not only thinking about the fire, but when the power comes back.
I mean, we're long term right now. We were thinking days in advance. Now we're thinking days and weeks and months after.
Yeah, it's going to take forever.
We want to remind our viewers that coming up at 9 o'clock here on KTVU, we normally have our NFL game pre-show. We are going to move that over to KTVU Plus because of everything that's going on across the Bay Area. We want to make sure that we bring you all the latest coverage, and so we're going to stay here on KTVU. But if you want to watch that NFL pregame show, you can go over to KTVU Plus.
And right now, let's go back in the field. Alyssa Harrington standing by. She's at the Soda Rock Winery, which pure devastation. 150-year-old winery in Healdsburg is no more. Alyssa?
Well, Frank, behind me is all that's left of the Soda Rock Winery in Healdsburg. The building has been here for 150 years. We're seeing this large smoldering pile of debris, and right in the middle of it, look at that frame of a chair just eerily still there. The roof of the building collapsed, and what we're seeing is some large pieces of what appear to be the tin roof. Now, we're going to walk a little bit, but we have to be extremely careful because there's broken glass all over the ground. Every once in a while, we hear or see something fall, but here are some of those large pieces of debris that are scattered all over the ground. And then I want to take you this way and show you the front of the building, which is still standing. This rock wall, the front of the building, still standing. But look, if you look right through the doorway, that is what is left of the building, these huge piles of debris. The fire tore through this area overnight. I want to show you some video of that. The flames in the dark just completely engulfing this building, which again has been in this area for so long. This place just renovated over the past 10 years. The current owners have been here since the year 2000. Now, Healdsburg was entirely under evacuation orders yesterday, so most people were able to get out of the area before the flames came into town. Also this morning, we did see a lot of fire coming over the hillside, not too far down the road. I want to show you a video of that. There was this big orange glow. So we've been seeing a lot of different fires burning really on all sides of us throughout the morning. We are in Healdsburg along Highway 128, and we are still seeing little spot fires here and there. A lot of fire crews either staging in certain areas where they're concerned that the fire could spread, and also checking for hot spots, making sure that any sort of small fires they really know are out. There's actually a lot of fire engines going down the road at this very moment. So certainly keeping busy. This, of course, looks like it was a little courtyard where people would sit. There's still a fountain here. So this winery, you know, unfortunately was taken by the fire, but, you know, there's still little things here and there that you find. You know, I found a pair of what appeared to be women's sunglasses. So, you know, it's those little things that you find among all this debris. Now, the wind this morning has been extremely strong, very strong wind gusts. There's a lot of ash in the air, a lot of smoke, and of course those embers. Firefighters very concerned those embers could continue crossing fire lines and continue making this fire spread. Reporting live in Healdsburg, Alyssa Harrington, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
And Mark, question for you. When firefighters come across something like this vineyard that's been there 150 years, is there a little extra work that goes into trying to preserve something like that?
Yeah, you know, the firefighters have like a business plan. It's called an incident action plan, published every 24 hours. You heard Jonathan Cox this morning talking about going to a briefing. And so what they do is they bring in the field commanders, and they give them a briefing and talk about different things. Part of that briefing talks about archaeological finds, historical, trying to put extra care into being able to salvage that. Now, one of the challenges to this is that they're engaged in firefighting and saving lives. So that becomes a little bit of a lower priority, but there's definitely a concern, to your point, that they're trying to figure out how to save those artifacts.
Logistically, in terms of what we're dealing with here, that's what I think is kind of hard to wrap your mind around. If we have that evacuation map that we put up and you showed the huge swath of the area that is affected here, not only do you have that, normally, I'm sure with Fremont, everyone else say, oh, they have a fire burning up in Sonoma, we're going to send all our folks up there and we're going to help out. And certainly we are seeing a lot of mutual aid up there. But also in this case, we've got our own power outages in our cities, and we can't send everyone there because what if the fire breaks out in Clayton and Oakley and South San Francisco? And so in terms of how you manage that, because if a fire breaks out and there are not resources in Orinda or somewhere else because they've been sent, the residents of those cities are going to be pretty upset.
Very good point. There is a national interagency fire center in Boise, Idaho, and their job is to manage all fire activity across the United States. When it starts to get extremely busy, like what we're seeing right now, that agency goes into effect, and what they do is they start to move resources based upon what's necessary. When we talk about CAL FIRE is the largest fire department in the absolute country, but they've also got firefighters from within Northern California that operate within their incident command team. They might be a safety officer or a planning officer. So not only are they actually the cities providing firefighters by way of fire engines and hand crews, etc., they've also got personnel that are embedded as part of those command teams doing the support activities. So you're seeing a combination from Northern California of firefighters, administrative, logistics, safety officers, public information, from all over Northern California converging on this. At the same time, what you're seeing is a tremendous fire activity in Southern California. So right now in Sacramento, in the California Office of Emergency Services Operations Center, they're trying to figure out that entire picture too. They're communicating with Boise, trying to figure out, okay, we need resources in Northern California, Southern California. How are we doing as far as city and backups and being able to provide, you know, as to your point, you know, the day-to-day calls that still still go on within the fire departments.
And beyond that, I mean, I know you know, with your work in FEMA too, it's the aftermath that we have to consider too. Re-energizing the lines, which we talked about, which is going to be a huge issue, you know, in terms of how timely that is, how quickly they can go around to check the lines. I know on my street, I had a PG&E truck come down and just visually inspect to make sure that everything was up the last time we did this. Plus, you have all the people who will need help.
Yeah. And I think what the last number looks like 180,000 under mandatory evacuations. So those folks have to go somewhere. So part of not only the firefights going on, but what you're seeing is what they call consequence management. So shelters open up. How do we have water, beds, food for those folks? How long will we need to put, let's open the community centers, the libraries.
And they've had to move these evacuation centers because some of them have been in the path of the fire. So you move them to one place, and I know Sutter and a couple of different hospitals also had to evacuate as well. So it is a constantly changing situation.
Can we talk about the winds a little bit? Have you ever, I mean, in Fremont, you've got hills down there when you were the battalion chief there. Have you ever seen anything like this?
Well, when I was down there, we had offshore winds, which burn up a good portion of portions of the city. But to your point, it's just we seem to be hitting this, and I don't know whether it's climate change or what it is, but within the last 3 or 4 years, we're seeing these winds that are coming offshore more and more, coupled with the dry grass and the 140 million dead trees.
In October.
In October. And so you're seeing this, and everybody says it's the new normal. I'm not so sure it's the new normal. I think it's just normal now.
Does it have something to do, because 1,000 years ago, it burned. No one put it out.
Yes.
And that's part of nature. And I know when Mount Diablo burned 6, 7 years ago, some of the flora and fauna that came up hadn't been seen on the mountain in 100 years. Are we fighting Mother Nature in that regard?
Well, you know, when the governor came in, the new governor, Governor Newsom, one of the parts of that, he focused on fire protection, you know, buying more fire helicopters and engines and doing fire management in forests. But it really took this concerted effort of everybody sitting down at the table, environmentalists, you know, fire suppression crews, all the different instruments. Because when you start to talk about not burning areas because it's an environmental concern, well, the after effect of that is, to your point,
fuels grow.
Fuels grow, the heavy load. And what we're seeing in the incident action plan for this is they've predicted in some areas you have flame lengths as high as 2 stories tall, moving across the distance of a football field within 2 minutes.
Yep, it's so fast.
Fuel load.
Right.
It is crazy. So do you think, and this is what I've heard from a lot of people, especially with the power shutoff and the safety power shutoff, was this necessary? And people are going to be asking that at the evacuations, you know, and from your experience, I mean, are you watching anything going, oh, we don't need to do that? Or are you thinking, we need to do more, this is just right?
That's going to be a question that'll be debated for years. There's no question. Should we or should we not? I think the key point in that discussion is let's stop these as soon as possible. Meaning, let's make sure that PG&E does the maintenance necessary. We know that's been a problem. We need them to invest in that. We want to do fuels management. You know, in Southern California, in the San Diego electric area, they're able to do their outages with a little bit more precision than we're able to do up here because there's been an investment in the software for power outages. So the governor's concerns are valid to the degree, PG&E, we need you in.
Because they're so spotty. You could be, I was in Pinole. The high school was out, you walk a block down, the donut shop's on. How do you know where the divide is and where it is?
The good news is that PG&E has started to hire a lot of public safety officials who are in fact knowledgeable about some of this. They've opened up their wildfire center. They're doing much more aggressive than they ever have. So that's the good news. Now what happens is you have to chase this a little bit because there have been years of, you know, lack of maintenance, lack of fuel, and we see that in some of the electrical towers that we're talking about where the bus fuses have broken, the lines have come down, sparked and created fires. We know that in the Paradise Fire. So the challenge becomes through all of this is how to manage it going forward. And I think that's what the governor is absolutely saying to PG&E.
All right, and if you're just joining us, it has been a very long night and a very long morning as we continue to watch all the developing situations in the North Bay and beyond. We're seeing fires in the East Bay and fires in South San Francisco. We've got 180,000 people under mandatory evacuation in Sonoma County, and we've seen devastation and destruction there as this fire continues to move. We've got Sergeant Warren Valencia from Sonoma County on the phone with us right now with the very latest. Good morning to you, Sergeant.
Good morning.
So give us the situation now as we got daylight now and we have 180,000 people conceivably out of the danger zone. Where's your strategy now and what are you seeing as we get some daylight on this fire?
I know with their meeting with CAL FIRE, they're being very aggressive with the fire. They're out there putting a lot of resources on it. So our duty at the Sheriff's Office, we have about 140 allied agencies assisting us. So what we're doing is, and also National Guard, is that what we're doing is we're being proactive out and enforcing the areas that have been evacuated to keep looters out, to keep people safe, making sure nobody's re-entering.
Are you having problems with that? Are people really following these orders? And do you see, are these essential ghost towns when we're talking about Healdsburg and Windsor and the people have been told to leave have in fact left?
Yes, we had a very high number of people that left. I want to say it was close to 95 to some areas, almost 100% of the people that left. There were some refusals. We just recommended that they leave for their safety.
And Juan, how about in northern portions of Santa Rosa, which ultimately knew they were in danger, but got door knocks this morning from the local fire department or text messages, or perhaps some of your deputies knocked on the door. Were they surprised or ready to go?
I think we've done a really good job of educating the public since we had the Tubbs fire in 2017, of sending alerts out early, really engaging our community about the fire danger and kind of like being alert and having a go bag. And I think that really helped a lot, that people were kind of maybe expecting it to some degree, so they were ready to leave.
Sergeant Valencia, I had a viewer asking me, and it was a good point, beyond the residents and the people who can get the nixles on their phones and who can get the door knocks, there are the homeless populations that we've seen throughout our counties as well. Is there an effort to, and has there been a problem making sure that those who may be living on the streets also were able to get escorted out to safety?
Absolutely. That's always a concern. So what we do is we have a high-low siren. So we use the high-low siren, which means to evacuate. Then deputies are using their PAs announcing that people need to evacuate.
And can you tell us where people are going? I know you had some resource centers, places for folks to charge their phones, to get maybe a bite to eat and to kind of hunker down. But some of that was in Santa Rosa at the Veterans Hall there, at the fairgrounds down in Petaluma. Where are folks going?
So now we have two new shelters. We have the Napa College and then the Marin Community College as well. So, excuse me, the Marin County Fairgrounds.
Okay, and then, you know, I know Sutter Santa Rosa Regional Hospital had to be evacuated because the fire got close to that facility, and they were taken to Sutter Health in Novato and CPMC. Do you know the situation with Kaiser Santa Rosa? I've had some people asking me if that also had to evacuate. We've heard some differing reports.
Yes, that is correct. So Sutter and Kaiser both were evacuated.
Okay, and in terms of how this is going, I mean, I know you've got a lot of people out there, a lot of people on the ground. I also know that it's going to be a long day still ahead. You know, the lessons learned from the Tubbs fire and all to make sure that we've done this in a way that takes that horrible experience and turns it into a better way to handle this experience now. Do you feel things are running smoothly?
Yes, obviously we could always do things better, but I do think that with our combined efforts with fire and law enforcement or public safety, we are out there educating the community, sending alerts out ahead of time so we don't create chaos. And, you know, reminding people that we do live in an area that's going to be affected by fires, or so to always be ready and have go bags ready to go.
And Sergeant, once this fire is out or at least controlled, your work is not over. You'd mentioned looters and looking over property and businesses that may have burned down. There will be a lot of work in the months to come, too.
Absolutely. And then also to recap back on contacting or educating the community, we've also learned from the Tubbs fire that we needed to also provide information in Spanish, which has been a huge asset to the Hispanic community.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of tweets coming out in both languages, which is great. So looting, yes or no? I know you guys are patrolling, but have you seen that happen yet?
No, we do not have any reports of looting. We have, I believe it's around 200 officers patrolling the areas that have been evacuated. Oh. So we have a lot of public safety out there patrolling.
It's a good message to let people know don't try it because someone's watching. I also wanted to ask you about the gas stations. I saw some reports saying that because so many people were leaving on Highway 101 trying to get out of town, that some of those gas stations were having some problems fueling up. Are you hearing those reports as well?
No, I am not. I haven't heard anything about any issues with the gas or gas stations.
What about 101? Still shut down northern Santa Rosa from Bicentennial all the way to Cloverdale? Is that true?
So it did open up. Actually, we just drove that maybe within the last hour, and it was open.
So Highway 101 all the way to Cloverdale is open now?
That's correct.
Okay.
All right. Well, Sergeant Juan Valencia, thank you so much for joining us. I know you guys have been doing a great deal of work out there. We appreciate all the efforts to keep everyone safe, and we appreciate you checking in with us here on Mornings on 2.
Thank you.
All right, let's bring in Rosemary now, and let's talk about these winds if we can. We've got Mark here. It's been pretty crazy out there.
Yes, and widespread. Excuse me. And as we get in through the second part of the morning, they are expected to calm down just some, but not over, far from over, as the winds will continue.
Tomorrow, maybe?
Tomorrow morning, they look a lot better, and the advisory is expected to expire tomorrow at 11 o'clock.
Yeah, I guess, is it only till tomorrow at 11 that we actually take a breath and say we made it through? Because I guess that's always the big question for everyone. When can we say, now we can just, focus on cleaning up and recovering?
Well, and that's part of the problem. With no rain in the forecast, we're going to have the smoke that is now going to be an issue for most of the Bay Area. We were hoping that the offshore wind would blow some of that smoke from the North Bay out to the Pacific Ocean, but now we have fires burning in the East Bay, and we have fires burning near South San Francisco. So
in the incident action plan, they had said something about 50-mile-an-hour gusts tonight. Is that still something that could be prevalent?
Yeah, definitely. This morning, and you already know this, but some of those winds were clocking 90 miles an hour over portions of the North Bay. In fact, the National Weather Service did put out a pretty widespread graphic of just all the different areas. They also put this out. If you're checking weather conditions in Sonoma, the airport is incorrectly reporting rain. It's obviously not raining. And when we were live with Sarah, she said the ash is falling over the area.
It's confusing some of those sensors.
It is confusing the sensors.
That's Sonoma Airport's a pretty far piece away from where it's happening, too. So I imagine a lot of that smoke, all that ash, with all that wind blowing down.
A good indication of just how bad the air quality is there.
I think it's important to keep in mind, too, like when you say 90, we think, oh, 50 doesn't sound as bad as 90. But 50 is not good.
Yes.
50 is not good. This is the National Weather Service. It's really hard to read these numbers. If we take a look at some of our larger monitors here in the studio, you can see Mount St. Helena hit 87 this morning. Hillsburg hit 93. Widespread 20 to 30, 40 miles per hour, Bay Area wide. And as we get into the next few hours, again, the winds are expected to drop down just some. In fact, here's a look at some of the current conditions. Areas over Mount St. Helena, we lost that reading, but still about 70. Atlas Peak reporting 31. As we shift to the East Bay, because as we know now, we have a fire burning in the near the Oakley area. Winds are gusting to about 27. Over Black Diamond, the Diablo Range gusting to 33. And I'll do one more hit over towards towards San Francisco, where the winds are gusting anywhere from 40 miles per hour near the Golden Gate Bridge to 52 in the hills.
All right.
So the winds do continue, of course.
All right, Rosemary, we also want to alert our viewers, if you want to watch the NFL pregame show, we've moved that for obvious reasons. You can check that over on the Plus at this hour.
And in the meantime, we've got Mark Naveau standing by with us. We also have Sarah Zendenam, who is live in the North Bay in the middle of all of this, checking out on conditions and the smoke that you're seeing. It's kind of which direction do you want to go to check out that next place that's burning, right, Sarah?
Yeah, that's right. So the area that we are right now, we're just off Highway 128 off of Chalk Hill Road. We were at Chalk Hill Road earlier this morning and we saw this thick black plume of smoke blowing in our direction. We came up the hill and saw this house. Now, we have been told by the OES fire rescue crews that are out here right now that this was in fact someone's home. You can see it has been completely taken down by this fire. It is pretty unbelievable to see this. Now, when we got out here about 30 minutes ago, the structure that you're looking at right over here that's still standing, it was okay. I mean, there was no fire on the front end of it, but on the inside, the fire was really raging, and now you can see the effects on the outside as well. Now, we did ask these crews kind of why they're standing here, why they're just, you know, monitoring it rather than spraying it with their water, and simply put, it's a complete loss. As you guys can see, there's really no point in wasting